Hi guys, Editing Abby here. This video that I'm about to post was actually recorded a little over 2 years ago, explaining the story on how we didn't know we were pregnant for 6 months with my second daughter, but I'm finally getting around to editing it over 2 years later. But I just wanted to hop on and let you know that this is actually a practice video before the actual video, because the actual video that I had filmed for this story ended up getting the audio messed up in it somehow, and so I wasn't able to use that footage. But I'm glad that I recorded this practice video because it still has the same story and gives you all the details, and you see cute videos of my daughters when they're that little. So I'm going to go ahead and post this one and finish editing it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks. What's up, guys? How y'all doing? Welcome back to my YouTube.
Mommy!
Hi.
Oh.
What up? This video will be about how I didn't know I was pregnant for 6 months, so stay tuned and I hope you enjoy. So it was a crazy story, the biggest surprise of our lives to date. Hold on, baby. She keeps trying to like grab my stuff. Aw, you're such a cutie, but don't touch it. Please don't touch it, okay? See that part? We can't actually touch that part because then you get smudges all over it and then the lens won't work, so we can't do that. But this is a story of how I didn't know I was pregnant for 6 whole months. So it's a crazy story, biggest surprise of our lives. My body, for some reason, does not act all that different when I'm pregnant. It's like kind of hard for me to tell when something's up or when something's different. I'll just say it's hard for me to tell when I'm pregnant. I actually do not want you to touch this one. Daddy! Daddy's at work. Daddy's at work, isn't he? Yeah, Daddy's at work. This is your story of how I didn't know I was pregnant with you for so long. Yeah, look at you. So big and strong and smart and gorgeous. Yeah, don't get too close, you stinker. You know exactly what you're doing. Anyway, so it says, my body for some reason doesn't act all that different when I'm pregnant. Like, it's hard for me to tell when I'm pregnant. My first pregnancy, I didn't know I was pregnant with her either. It was actually my husband who convinced me to take a pregnancy test because he just kind of noticed I was acting different. He was like, you know, you're a little bit moody and kind of a space cadet and you look confused a lot of the times. And so he convinced me, he's like, I want you to just take a pregnancy test just to make sure you're not pregnant. And I was completely like, for sure, I was like, I'm not pregnant. I think I would know if I was pregnant, you know, type of thing. But I took the pregnancy test and lo and behold, it was positive. And I was in complete shock, even just with my first one. Not even this one, but I was in complete shock and I cried and I was just like so surprised because I 100% did not think I was pregnant, but I was. Turned out I was like 5 weeks pregnant, so that was my first pregnancy. I just have such a hard time of like telling when something's different because my body doesn't act all that different. Like for my first pregnancy, I guess like I can only tell, I mean, I was honestly just a space cadet, that was it. So with, where am I? At the time we found out we were pregnant for our second baby, my oldest was only about 10 months old. So I was still exclusively breastfeeding her. I never got my period back. And so that wasn't something I was like looking out for. So it wasn't anything out of the ordinary when I didn't have a period. You want your binky? Okay, here you go. There you go. Oh, sweetie, they're tired.
See my bike. See my bike.
Is that your bike? You mean that's your shopping cart, huh?
No, my bike.
No, that's your bike. No, that's your shopping cart, baby.
No, my bike.
Oh, your bike. Okay. All right, I guess that's her bike. So, excuse me if I don't know things. So sweet. So my oldest was only about 10 months, so I was still exclusively breastfeeding her and everything. And so when I didn't get my period back, that wasn't anything out of the ordinary. That didn't ever raise any red flags for me. At the time, I was working out and eating healthy, trying to lose the baby weight from my previous pregnancy and drinking a lot of water. So whenever I did have to pee a lot, I never second guessed it because I was like trying to get healthy, you know, so I was drinking a ton of water and it was normal if I had to pee a lot type of things. I remember Googling like, is it normal for me to pee so much? And they're like, oh yeah, if you're drinking a lot of water, it makes you pee a lot, so. Yeah, so I was working out and trying to lose weight, but for some reason, I just could not lose any of the baby weight for my first pregnancy. I had no idea why. Surprise, surprise. So for several months, my stomach kept kind of getting hard and like protruding out for some reason. Like it kept getting bigger, but not big enough to where I looked like obviously pregnant or anything like that. But I remember, but it kept getting like bigger and kind of firm feeling. At first, we thought it was maybe diastasis recti, where abs don't come back together after having a baby, and it looks like you're still kind of pregnant. I ended up making a doctor's appointment because I remember the first symptoms I had were, believe it or not, baby kicks. But Google and everybody said, oh, they're just phantom kicks from your first pregnancy. It's just gas moving around, feels just like baby kicks, so nothing to worry about, not anything out of the ordinary. And at that time, they didn't happen very often, so I didn't think anything of it. Well, those phantom baby kicks kept getting stronger and stronger to the point where me and my husband were cuddling one day and he felt one. And we just both stopped and looked at each other and I was like, did you feel that? And he was like, yeah, that's not gas. And so we went ahead and made a doctor's appointment for checking out if I had diastasis recti, but also just kind of like, I mean, still, even to that point, I remember not like still being fully convinced I wasn't pregnant just because... Yeah, I was like 99% sure I wasn't pregnant, but it definitely made me stop and think because I was like, oh yeah, I remember. Oh, that's good. I remember that. I remember thinking because if I have diastasis recti, it means your abs don't come back together, right? So maybe that's why if I have this gas in my stomach, it like, that's why Justin could feel it too. Oh, you want your shoes on? Sorry, she wants her shoes on. Shoes. Shoes. So funny. Hannah. Oh, there you are. She's being a space cadet watching CoComelon. All right. So I remember being like, well, if it's diastasis recti and your abs don't go back together, so maybe that's why Justin could feel the gas moving around. Like I was still to that point fully convinced that I was not pregnant. So we made a doctor appointment for checking if I had diastasis recti, and on the way to the appointment, my husband called me and told me, he's like, hey, just buy a pregnancy test and take it when you're at the doctor's just to kind of, ease our minds and rule it out that you're not pregnant, because we were both like 99% sure I was not pregnant, and this was just something else going on for some reason. So I bought a pregnancy test, and while I got to the doctor's, I was waiting in the waiting room, and I walked into the bathroom with my 10-month-old, sat down and took the pregnancy test. And it immediately came back. Like, you know how you're supposed to wait for like 2 or 3 minutes for the results to come back? No. This thing immediately came back positive. My first thought, I still remember, my first thought was just complete and utter shock. And I almost convinced myself that I took the pregnancy test wrong for some reason, because there was no way that I was pregnant. Like, how do you not know that you're pregnant, And just remind yourself, this is before we found out that I was 6 months pregnant. So, like, just at the beginning when it came back pregnant, I was like, oh my God, I was like, I cannot be pregnant. Like, how am I pregnant? I have no symptoms whatsoever. Like, nothing from my first pregnancy. At least with my first pregnancy, I had a little bit of symptoms, but nothing like, too much. So, I mean, we took the pregnancy test and I was just in utter shock. Convinced myself I took the test wrong somehow. There was no way I could be pregnant. No way. I didn't have any symptoms that made me stop and think that I was remotely pregnant. Nothing like my first pregnancy. Luckily, my husband actually worked at the hospital that I had my appointment at. So I just called him and he came on over. And we sat in the parking lot in our car, just looking at this positive pregnancy test, wondering how could this have happened. Though we all know how this happened. Anyway, but I gotta be honest with you guys, I was worried and absolutely terrified because we didn't know how long we were pregnant for. But just the fact that I was pregnant, I remember I had a glass of wine that night, and then that last week I had sushi, and then me and my husband were working out, trying to lose weight, and like went running for the first time, and I absolutely hate running. And I remember at one point during the run really pushing myself super hard. My stomach was aching for some reason, though it got better, after a while. So, I mean, we were just doing all these things to like just living life like I wasn't pregnant, and that can be dangerous. And so I was super worried. I didn't know, now that I knew that I was pregnant, I didn't know if this baby was hurt or if I accidentally hurt it not knowing that I was pregnant. I was terrified. So we were really happy that we were pregnant, but also just really worried. I was just a mess. I cried a little bit, super happy, but also really worried because I didn't want to hurt my baby, and I didn't know if I did unintentionally with how I was living. Ugh, holding this camera hurts. So both me and my husband walked into my doctor's appointment, and we told my doctor that I had just taken a pregnancy test while I was waiting, and it came back positive. And so she was like, all right, let me get you up on the table and check you. So I sat up on the table and laid down, and then she was feeling around my stomach. She was feeling around my stomach, and I remember her saying, well, that does feel like an enlarged uterus. And so she stopped. She turned around and grabbed a Doppler, a fetal Doppler, and put it on my stomach and immediately found a heartbeat. And she found my baby's heartbeat. And I remember, this is just a practice video, but I'm still getting freaking emotional for some reason. As soon as my baby's heartbeat came up on the Doppler, I just immediately started breaking down and crying because I knew I had taken the pregnancy test, but I was still just halfway convinced that I took it wrong somehow. But as soon as I heard the heartbeat, it was just like hit me with how real it was. So we were pregnant. But hearing my baby's heartbeat on the Doppler, I just looked over at my husband and immediately started crying, and he was getting teary-eyed too. I couldn't help myself. The tears just started flowing. The doctor said the heartbeat sounded good and strong, and then she said that she was going to go get an ultrasound machine and bring it in the room. Once she came back, she got everything set up and turned the machine on. I took one look at the ultrasound machine as soon as she found the baby, and I took one look at the ultrasound machine thinking that it was going to be this just little like bean baby or something. And the picture that was on the ultrasound was this huge baby inside my stomach. And I remember looking at it and saying, like, that big of a baby is in me right now? Not only was it shocking that we just found out I was pregnant 30 minutes ago, but that the baby that was in me was humongous. And the doctor was saying, like, she was like, yeah, looks like you're already halfway done. Looks like you're about 25 or so weeks along. And I was just like, completely floored. I had no idea what to think. I didn't know what to do. I was just like, are you kidding? Like, I still am flabbergasted to this day, and I lived through it. And so after finding out that, like, just that I was pregnant, but not only pregnant, but 6 months pregnant, 6 months and 10 days to the exact date. And then my doctor was like, so do you want to know the gender or keep it a secret? And we were both like, oh my God. We're just like, no, just keep tacking it on. Come on, just keep bringing on all the surprises, okay? So she told us that we were having another baby girl and that we were 6 months pregnant. So, gosh, we found out we were having another sweet baby girl, and it was just the biggest surprise of our lives. So that's all I have written so far on my phone. Yeah, that's all I have written on the phone. I will have to go back, tweak that a little bit, but I think it's pretty good so far. I'll just really need to try to keep my thoughts straight because I ramble on everywhere. But yeah, still, biggest surprise. And this is her now, just not knowing I was pregnant for 6 months. My Adira Faye! There you are! What are you doing? You wanted mommy to put a shoe on you, you silly. You're so cute. You're so cute. You're so cute, Hannah. I love you. What is that? Are you looking at the microphone on top of Mama's camera? Hi, Hannah. Oh, sorry, am I getting away with your bike? Look at you. Oh, don't touch it. You're so big and strong. You're so big and strong. I love you. I love you, baby. You're so silly. Look at you. I love it. I love how beautiful and strong. Ew. Ew. She like licked my lips. How strong and perfect you are. Oh, thank you. We don't want to mess with that. But you're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. Yahweh kept you safe inside Mommy's tummy for 6 months and I didn't know you were in there. What the heck? I love you. not gonna start crying. I love you so much. Oh my god, I'm actually starting to cry a little bit. I hate this. I don't know how I'm gonna film this video. But anyway, I have to do a few tweaks and then get this thing done and have it saved for memory's sake forever. Still the biggest surprise of our lives. We love it.